You're listening to Packers Talk Network.
Do you want to experience the thrill of a Packers game at Lambeau Field? If so, be sure to get your game tickets from the longtime trusted source in Wisconsin, Ticket King. Visit their locations in Milwaukee and Green Bay, or just go to their website, theticketking.com. Again, that's theticketking.com.
Check New York Bozo! New York Bozo! New York Bozo!
I got to get my biceps a little bigger.
Yeah, you can always work on that.
I like that you'll use a hot dog with chili.
You know what time the game starts? Hey, you got any left-handed footballs? We need to fire him. Is anybody else tired, or is it just me? Good thing I'm in shape. You got any eligibility left? I got some advice for y'all. Take 2 weeks off, then quit.
What's up, Packers fans? Man, we're here to talk about actual, real, regular season football, and it feels good. We're going to have a super duper awesome show for you this week, because sitting beside me, figuratively, not literally, as we are 4 men in 4 different states, we've got Jordan Peck. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic, Brian. It's good to be with you guys again.
Always, always. And, of course, Dusty Evely.
What's up, fellas?
Everything. It's week 1. Woo!
I know. I know. It's actually happening. It's all happening.
It's hard to believe. All right. And we've got the rookie making his debut out of Milwaukee Area Technical College. John Jameson, how you doing, man?
Oh my gosh, I am doing so fantastic right now. It has been a privilege and an honor listening to you guys' podcast before this, and now that I'm actually part of it, words cannot express the way that I feel right now. I feel like I'm floating on a cloud that is made of cheese. And it is just unbelievable, guys. So I am looking forward to spending this Packers Super Bowl year just dissecting every game and aspect of it, and looking forward to celebrating the Super Bowl victory with you guys. So that's where I'm at.
So John's going to be taking over as host, but before I hand over the reins, he's going to have to answer a question completely honestly. Now, you said it's been a privilege and an honor to listen to our show. How many episodes have you listened to?
I would say at least a solid 3 of them.
That's good. That's good.
I think we're on episode 20, so I mean,
hey, that's putting me a little bit over 10%, I think. So
I honestly thought he was going to say like 5 minutes. So you're doing real good. You're doing real good, John.
If 10% was my high school grades, I would have been ecstatic with that. So 10% is passing with me.
I can vouch for that.
Thank you, Brian. But yeah, this is the truth right here. We bring the truth week in, week out. You guys do. I hope to add to all this stuff, and that's how it's going to be from now on. So,
Well, I hope so. Otherwise, we've got some awkward conversations to have down the road. All right, John, you're the host of this show now. Take it away.
All right, guys. We are going to just dive right into it because there's so much to talk about, and we have this beautiful idea brained by Brian, where we will do a coin toss to decide which route our intellects about the Packers will take on all these subjects. So the first topic that I want to dive into, because it's probably what everyone that's tuning in this week is going to want to hear about, and that's Josh Sitton. I mean, it kind of caught us all off guard, and it just took us all completely by surprise. And I don't really know if there's any particular way that we can try and make sense of it, but we're going to do our best, and we are going to have Brian and Dusty try and decipher all this madness. And if the coin lands on heads, Brian, I would like you to tell me why, in a way, the Packers made the right move in cutting him. And Dusty, I would like you to decipher as to why the Packers didn't do the right move, and that would be tails. So here we go. We got the coin toss, and it is going to be heads. So, Brian, you are of the junction that the Packers made the right move. So go ahead, buddy.
All right, well, let me start by thanking you for using the word intellect, John, because I don't think intellectual has ever been a word to describe anybody on this podcast.
It's hurtful.
So that feels good. All right, so why the Packers made the right move. This is really hard because all I have to go off of are rumors, and a lot of those rumors kind of don't make sense if he signed with the Bears right away. But, you know, there has been the back issues. You know, going back a few seasons, he's missed games here and there. There's the rumor of his attitude not being right when he was told that they weren't going to give him an extension, that he kind of handled it the wrong way and was just ready to move on. I heard one rumor from, I can't speak to the credibility of the source, but a rumor that he had a dust up with HaHa Clinton Dix, and honestly, I have no idea what the truth is, but I'm going to tell you that it's kind of a combination of all of those things. They can use his cap money now to re-sign the likes of Eddie Lacy or Bakhtiari, and, you know, left tackle is a lot harder of a position to fill than left guard, and it's not even close, and running back is an even harder position to fill. So if they feel they have their guys with Bakhtiari and Eddie Lacy and they can get them signed sooner rather than later and not have them go testing free agency and upping their price, then I think it's a good move. The other one is the potential of Lane Taylor. The coaching staff and the front office saw something in this kid to give him 2 years, $4 million in the offseason when he barely played last year. So they clearly see something in Lane Taylor that made them offer him that contract that nobody else was going to offer him. So really I'm going back injuries, attitude, and the replacement coming in at a high level.
Brian, that was some very intellectual points you just made. And
I'm blushing
Dusty,
right now.
Dusty, I'm going to let you take it away as to why the Packers made the wrong move in releasing Josh Sitton.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate Brian for using the words potential and Lane Taylor in the same sentence, because no one,
it was not easy.
No one has ever done that. Man, I'm close personal friends with his mother, and she's never even used those. So kudos to you, Brian. Kudos to you. I mean, the locker room stuff could be right. Like you said, Brian, it's all rumors. I have a hard time telling what to believe, but man, this is a year that, like, legitimate shot of making a Super Bowl. And I know left guard or it's harder to deal with a left tackle leaving or anything than a left guard. But Sitton, even with his back issues last year, I think he's going to be 30 this year if he's not 30 already. Even with his back issues and turning 30, was still by pretty much every metric a top 5 guard in the league last year, even with the issues he had. So there is a little bit of slippage there, but he's still, if not like elite, whatever the devil that means, like very, very close. He's still a top guard. And this is a year, John, you kind of joked about at the beginning, going through the Super Bowl season. The Packers have a legit shot to make the Super Bowl this year. And to let that go over, or maybe a little dust up, I don't see it. It's suddenly the offensive line that was looking real good with a little bit of depth. Suddenly you got Lane Taylor, who was hopefully going to be a backup all season, as the starter over Josh Sitton, a top 5 guard. It's real scary, not just for Aaron Rodgers, but also in the run game, with rejuvenated Eddie Lacy in his last year with the Packers, likely, or it's his last one under contract. I have a hard time seeing how this is the right move. He had Sitton for one more year. I have a hard time believing you can't play nice for one more year and just let him walk afterwards.
Wow. I just kind of want to throw out something there too, because I mean, this is obviously a super hot topic right now, and I mean, I just kind of want to hear your guys' input on this question, and that would just be, is it pretty safe to say that Josh Sitton was probably the leader of the offensive line and how those guys worked as a unit, just with his voice and how everyone else on the line respected him? And is that going to like jock with the chemistry between the rest of those dudes for the remainder of the year?
It seemed to be, yeah. I mean, Sitton always did seem to be the most vocal. It's hard to see about locker room or whatever. It's possible someone else, maybe a quiet leader in the locker room, but just kind of looking at that, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Bulaga. But just looking at say comments that come out after games or anything, Sitton did seem to be the vocal leader. So that seems like that is going to be tough.
I agree. I can't remember the guy who said it, but he compared the locker room the day after the Sitton cut to the same mood after Jordy tore his ACL last year. I mean, it was just the locker room. I don't think those guys are happy at all that he's gone. I don't think they understand it. I don't think they're happy about it. So it's a very real distraction going into a season when you're supposed to be a contender. That's what's worrying. That's quite worrying.
I completely agree. It's got a potential for problem, but now it's kind of up to the other four, who's going to step up and be that guy now. Somebody has to, otherwise that line has the potential to fall apart. But you know what? They're professionals, and, they look up to TJ Lang as well. They look up to Bulaga as well. So I think, short term, we might see some troublesome play on that offensive line, but I think long term, they're professionals and they're going to get it figured out, and someone else is going to step up.
I mean, and if Lane Taylor comes out and, we don't hear about any penalties, week one, nothing, Roger stays on his feet, I mean, then this discussion quiets down real quickly. But I mean, if Taylor comes out and plays poorly, then it just keeps going. So
yeah,
he can Lane Taylor decides if this whole debate ends, and if he plays well, it can end pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, that's our little that's our little segment on this whole Josh Sitton fiasco. Now we're gonna jump into the next extremely hot topic that's happening in Green Bay right now, and that's the punter situation. And it has been
it's white hot.
It has been one of the most talked about things until Sitton the Packers decided to release him, and we're gonna go ahead and let Jordan in on this one. I'm not too thrilled about letting Jordan give some input, but it's okay. So Jordan, if I flip the coin and it's heads, I want you to tell me why the Packers made the right moves with all these punters. And just making it such a gigantic mess. And Brian, if it's tails, you'll be telling me why the Packers had to make it a mess and where they went wrong. So it is heads. So Jordan, you will now be telling me why the Packers did this and it was the right move.
Okay. Last year, I know all of us on this particular show, there was very few weeks where we were really pleased with Tim Mastey's play. A lot of clutch moments in a lot of close games, and Mastey was not performing. So you bring in another guy, Peter Mortel, into training camp, and you have this competition, and a lot of the times it was kind of back and forth. So sometimes you're thinking, well, Mastey's keeping the ball up in the air longer. You're thinking he's going to stay. Then Mortel was playing well in the preseason. So I think this is a surprise. This is a surprising move. While Mortel and Mastey, neither of them played extremely poorly. I mean, both played competently enough that you'd have felt confident with either one of them going out there. But obviously, and I don't know the whole process in scouting out punters. They obviously saw something in this Jake Schum that they were able to cut both those guys free and give this guy a shot. So sometimes a change in scenery really helps a guy. This Jake Schum has been quite a few places. And really last year is the only time he's contributed to an active NFL squad. So maybe they're thinking, change of scenery. This guy comes out and plays well. His stats aren't bad. He's had 55 punts, 42 yard average. I mean, this guy's had some good games last season for the Buccaneers. So I think I've got to go at least with Ted or someone in the scouting department sees something in this guy. So, and this time will tell if it was the right call.
Okay. And Brian, go ahead and do your thing, bro.
So first of all, I'm going to apologize to our loyal fans for having serious punter discussions for 2 straight episodes, but this is where we are in 2016. Look, I agreed with the call to let go of Peter Mortel. You know, he was the story, he was the rookie, he was the hometown kid. Everybody got caught up in that, but he just was not good enough, and Mastay outplayed him. Where the front office lost me, and I thought, okay, Jake Schum coming in, and he can compete with Mastay for this last game, and, we'll see who does what, and then they just cut Mastay, and I thought, okay, well, this Schum guy must be really good, right? And so I compare their 2 stats, and, I mean, from what I saw, in just about every single punting category I could find, Tim Mastay had better stats last year than Jake Schum. And don't come at me with it can't get any worse, because things can get worse. And Jake Schum last year was worse. He was, Buccaneer fans were saying the same things down there that we were saying about Mastay. So, and that's, it just feels like a lot more of the same. It feels like maybe even getting worse. And, you might as well just keep a ginger in that case.
I know. I think the main point I took away was just why are we talking about punters? But
So
at the end of the day, at the end of the day, oh my gosh, rookie mistake. I did not pick a winner in the Brian and Dusty thing about Justin. Oh my gosh.
All right. Well,
maybe I'll just do a thing where I just pick all the winners at the end, and everyone's a winner. No, but I would say where my brain took me, I really like what the points that Brian made about Josh Sitton.
Score.
And Dusty, I'm sorry, buddy, but
it's fine. I quit. It's fine. I quit, John. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I was really hoping if anybody was going to yell out "I quit," it would be Jordan, but
there's still time.
Can't always get what you want.
And the last thing on earth I would want to do is to give Jordan a victory, but Jordan definitely won the Jordan definitely won the punter conversation as well. So and now it comes down to Dusty and Jordan. And what I want to hear from you guys in this last coin toss that we're gonna do is the Packers just had a monstrous and just untouchable offense in 2014, and then in 2015 things took a little bit of a turn for a worse. And I want to know what kind of offense Packer fans should be expecting in 2016. So Dusty, I want you to pretty much give me a confidence boost as to why the Packers are going to be the offense of 2014 this year, and that'll be heads. And then Jordan, your tails would be why we should be looking at an offense more like 2015 and 2016, and that would be tails. So the coin toss is heads. So, Dusty, take it away, my man.
All right, man. You guys know me. I looked at some numbers. So, looking at, say, if we go by Football Outsiders DVOA, which kind of pulls everything in, kind of gives you a full look, and it adjusts for defense and all kinds of stuff. If we look at that stat, actually, I'm going to throw a bunch at you. Or a couple. If we go by DVOA, 2014 Aaron Rodgers was the best quarterback in football by a wide margin. 2015, the only difference basically being that Jordy Nelson was out. He was the 17th ranked. If QBR is your thing, if ESPN's QBR is your thing, he had an 82.6 in 2014, which was good for third, and 64.9 in 2015, which was good for 10th. So, like, a pretty big drop off, with the major thing being different was Jordy Nelson. Now, there's no guarantee Nelson's going to come back and be 100%, but he's got speed. Even if he's slightly slower, he's still going to have that speed. You got Jared Cook in the middle. Cobb has got everything. Everyone plays off of Jordy better. Cobb is going to be better this year because he's got Nelson taking the top off. Devontae Adams will be he's going to be better, but he's just going to be a dumpster that's not on fire. So that's exciting, man. I'm here for it. All in all, with Jordy back, even if he's not back to 100%, if he's 75%, he still makes this offense better. So they may not get back to 2014, but they're going to be real close. I think it puts their offense, instead of I think last year they were 12th, I think it puts them back in top 10.
Okay. I'm a stats guy, so you're just stats equal truth. So
agreed.
I really like when you're bringing that fire. So Jordan, you have a lot to convince me on, and go ahead, go take a stab at it, bud.
Well, and I agree with the stats. 14, 15 would be the major difference. Sure, Jordy Nelson, I agree, but there's, based on just his arrival, and you kind of touched on this as well, is that we just don't know there's a lot of unknown, a lot of uncertainty. So while Nelson's back in the offense, we don't know if a 75% Jordan Nelson actually makes this offense any more effective. Knowing what Jordy's done in the past, there's reason to believe that, but first of all, it's a whole year that he hasn't been playing in the offense, so you got to account for that. So it's going to probably take some time just to get back into it. You just have a couple other more unknowns. You talk about Devontae Adams. I mean, there's no reason, based on his performance in the preseason, that he's going to be, effective at all. He had a lot of drop passes. That can change. But I think that's going to be an issue. Cobb didn't have a good season last year. Now, again, that could be because of Nelson, but that could be it was also just a matter of the guy's not getting open. If Cobb, with a guy of his speed, can't get open, you can't tell me that's all because Jordy Nelson's not on the field. That doesn't make any sense. Cobb should be getting more open, and Rodgers should have had a better time connected with him last season. So that's a little concerning. So Cobb needs to step it up. I think the Jared Cook thing is what's really going to, if this offense gets back to it, it's going to be partly because of Jordy and more so part of Jared Cook, but we just don't know what kind of effectiveness he's going to have either. So there's so much uncertainty here, and until we see how this team plays over the first 3 or 4 games, then we can make a better statement. But right now there's just so much unknown with how Jordy's going to come back from his. We haven't seen him play, one game snap yet. He didn't play at all in the preseason. So to assume we're going to come back and everything's going to be smooth sailing, I think is incredibly optimistic. And I think I would tend to be more on in fact, we'll be closer to last year's offense than the year before.
Okay. Jordan, you made some pretty solid points, but like my great granddaddy used to say, nothing beats an opinion like a number, and and I gotta give this one to Dusty. So
we're gonna get along very well together, John.
Hey, my great granddaddy meant a lot to me. So so you might be winning a lot of these things if you keep giving us numbers like that. So I would like now for Jordan to tell us about our wonderful sponsors that we have here at Pack to the Future.
Yes, if you guys have listened to our podcast, you know that we're sponsored by Pride and Glory Clothing, run by our friend Fred Thurston, who actually just had his new son just this past week, I believe. So big congrats to Fred. So just to say, congrats to him. I would go and check out his website. There's a lot of cool designs for shirts, as we've been telling you over the past few podcasts. There's actually been a couple new designs that he's released, I believe, since our last podcast. So go and check them out. It's prideandglory63.com, prideandglory63.com. And actually, another thing about his new releases, I think, is it's the first ladies shirt that he's offering on the docket. So for our tens of thousands of female fans that listen to the podcast, there's actually something for you now on this site. So go and check them out, prideandglory63.com.
Jordan, according to our latest numbers, we're into the hundreds of thousands of female listeners now. So.
Thank you, John Jameson, for that.
Hey, this smile is worth millions, y'all. And, that's female viewership. But at this point now, I would like to bring in our very special guest all the way from Jacksonville. We got Jordan DeLugo, and thank you so much, Jordan, for joining us here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yes, no problem, bud. How you feeling tonight?
I'm doing well, Just so anxious for Sunday.
I think we all are.
Yeah.
I mean, the kickoff of football season is just it does a little extra something, puts that pep in your step, and no matter who you support, football just brings everybody together.
Absolutely.
So how are we feeling? How are we feeling about the Jaguars this year? I know that in last year they had just huge just upgrade to everything that they did. I mean, the offense was clicking, the defense was super solid, and that was a huge upgrade from the previous year. So, what should we be expecting out of the Jaguars this year?
Well, first off, I definitely don't think anybody else would agree with you that the defense was super solid last year. But, especially not Jaguar fans. But the offense did really step it up last year. The maturation of Bortles, Hearns, and Robinson all in their third year, just really it all gelled together at the right time. They put up a lot more points than they did in 2014, and they did it without really being a consistent offense. They consistently scored points every game, but they weren't consistent drive in and drive out. They couldn't run the ball effectively, which led to a lot of third and long situations, which led to a lot of turnovers. Blake Bortles obviously led the league in interceptions, but he was also second in touchdowns, so you got to give some and take some there with Bortles, but hopefully we can get some less interceptions this year. Try to get a little bit more consistent. Defensively, there's a ton of turnover. There's a few veterans that have been brought in, Deshaun Gibson and Malik Jackson in particular, to really fortify and bring some star power to a defense that has been lacking it. And then there's also 3 draft picks from the last 2 seasons, none of which have played in an NFL game yet. Dante Fowler, Jalen Ramsey, and Miles Jack. All 3 of those guys will factor in huge for the Jaguars' future and their present. Ramsey and Fowler will both be starting against the Packers, and Jack will get in playing Will in some third down situations. But yeah, I think there's some cautious optimism in Jacksonville. There was more optimism prior to the preseason. In the preseason this year, the Jaguars have been averaging about 10 penalties a game. Their kickoff coverage and punt coverage has been abysmal. And, you just can't have either of those 2 things regularly happening and win a lot of games. And to pile onto that, our kicking situation with Jason Myers is sketchy at best. He had a good year in his rookie season as a field goal kicker, but on extra points, he missed 7 as a rookie, which is unacceptable. And he's been a little shaky this preseason. So there's cautious optimism, but there's obviously some flaws right now.
I would say that the offense is going to be a key part to their success this year. And speaking of successes, I mean it's gonna have to start in week 1. They are facing probably one of their tougher opponents this year in the Green Bay Packers, And I just kind of want to give you an opportunity to tell you what the Jaguars have to do to win this game this week.
All right, well, I think the number one thing for the Jaguars to win this game, and for most teams to win games against the Packers this year, is you cannot let Aaron Rodgers be comfortable in the pocket. And I think the Jaguars might have a recipe for creating a little bit of pressure and chaos in the pocket. And that'll come from Malik Jackson and Senderick Marks going up against Lane Taylor at left guard, who, by the way, the whole Josh Sitton thing, there's Jaguar fans just as pissed as Packers fans because we didn't even look at bringing him in. And we have Luke Jokel at left guard, who's been like one of the worst draft picks in team history. And that's really saying something because we've had a lot of terrible draft picks. So, yeah, Jaguar fans are pissed about that too. So we're on the same boat there. But, yeah, Malik Jackson, I think there's no reason to believe that that Lane Taylor can block Malik Jackson. And I think that will get an opportunity to create some interior pressure, which is something that if there's interior pressure, it makes Rodgers perhaps move to one side or the other, which could really help out Dante Fowler coming off the edge, and also Yannick Ngakoue coming off the edge, who's a rookie from Maryland. He was a third-round pick. He's been more impressive than Fowler this preseason, so they'll both get a lot of playing time off the edge. But yeah, the Jaguars have got to get after Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying they need to get 5 sacks, but there just needs to be a little bit of consistent pressure to where he just doesn't have an open pocket the whole game. Because if he does, he's going to tear us apart. We've seen it happen way too many times before when the Jags play good quarterbacks.
Jordan, do you have anything to talk about what Jordan just said?
Well, yeah, I mean, I kind of echo his point about just pressure. I mean, yeah, that was how teams were able to, have a good impact against us, was if you can make Rodgers uncomfortable, not give him a lot of time. I mean, and this is true for really any offense. If you're able to do that, then that's going to, get us into some bad positions, maybe even get some interceptions. I mean, Rodgers doesn't throw many, but if they get a lot of pressure on him, then that's definitely an issue. And this is team too, a lot of unknowns. I mean, he's talking about the young guys. You got Ramsey, the rookie corner. You got Miles Jack, who's another rookie. Dante Fowler, who's missed all last season, so he's pretty much a rookie when it comes to on-field play. So there's just a lot of unknowns with this Jaguars defense. They're super young, but they're also super talented. Those are a lot of high draft picks. So it's going to be a challenge for the Packers to have to deal with that.
And Jordan, what do you see happening on Sunday? I mean, give us a final score prediction, and what do you see? What do you see happening on Sunday, bud?
I think we're going to definitely see some points. Both offenses are super high octane. When you've got guys like Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams, and then you add in Jared Cook, that's tough for any defense to stop. And then obviously the Jaguars also have their weapons in Allen Robinson, Hearns, Julius Thomas, Marquise Lee. But there's some talent on both defenses as well, and I don't think that the defenses are just going to get pushed around all day. I do think the defenses are going to make some plays of their own. So I don't think it's going to be like some 42-35 type game, but I think it could be, the winning team might get just over 30 with the losing team just under 30. Pretty close game. Maybe let's go 33-28 Jaguars.
Okay. I'm liking that. I mean, obviously I'm not liking it, but
right. I think that this Jaguar team has so much riding on this game, and they've said it. Even the coaches have said it. Gus Bradley said it this week. We've really been preparing for the Packers all offseason. So they've really been worrying about this game the entire offseason. And some could say that might be to their detriment, but I think everybody in Jacksonville, all the players, they're ready to really burst on the NFL scene. And I think they're going to come out with a lot of passion. I think they're going to make some big plays. And I think the biggest thing is I think there will be some pressure created on Rodgers by Malik Jackson playing against Lane Taylor. And I also think the run game is just going to be so much better for the Jaguars this year. They've improved their offensive line. They get back Brandon Linder, who in 2014, prior to his injury, was our best offensive lineman, and he appears to be our best offensive lineman still. So having new offensive linemen up front helps out a lot. And then obviously Chris Ivory and TJ Yeldon is a very, very dynamic duo in the backfield. So I think the Jaguars, they got to run the ball and they got to get after Rodgers. And if they can do that, there's no reason that their offense with Bortles and all the weapons cannot keep up with Rodgers. And I think that, it's obviously a bold pick picking the Jaguars. They're not going to be favored by anyone, but they have a shot in this one. They really do.
I absolutely think that. I mean, I think that us here in Packer Nation, I think that we're feeling a little bit optimistic about our defense this year. And I mean, what a test in week 1 to go up against such a high-powered offense. And I mean, like you said, they got a strong run game, and Blake Bortles is definitely coming into his own. You got some great receivers, and it is definitely going to be a battle. And we're all looking forward to just watching some NFL football here this week. So, Jordan, where can our viewers find you on Twitter? Anything else? Where can we find you at, bud?
So I do some work for a lot of different local organizations in Jacksonville. My personal baby that I've started is Generation Jaguar. I'm sure most Packer fans know, but some might not. The Jaguars have only been around since 1995. So all the millennials that are growing up right now and becoming adults and being able to buy their own season tickets and all that, that's really kind of what our demographic is. And we have a fan group. We get together and tailgate for every home game. We watch all the away games at a bar out at the beach. And we just try to really, really raise the level of fandom in Jax. And we also have a blog that we update daily. We get all the latest news on there and just really try to have a good time. We love the Jaguars, and it's just all about having a good time and supporting the team and supporting the city. So if you're interested in that, you can find us on all the big 3 social medias at Generation Jaguar. Our website is genjag.com, which is short for Generation Jaguar. And you can find me personally at Jordan DeLugo on any of the big 3, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And I appreciate y'all having me on again. It was a great time talking a little back and forth about this matchup, and I'm really excited to see if you guys are able to handle the heat down here. It's supposed to be in the mid 90s and 65% humidity, so it'll be interesting for sure.
Well, I think I speak for all of us, Jordan, when I say we really appreciate you spending some time with us tonight and giving us a little bit of insight from the other side of the ball. And we wish you and all of Gen Jag the greatest success. And besides this week and maybe potentially a Super Bowl. But yeah, like I said, buddy, we really appreciate you spending some time with us tonight. And we're looking forward to a fun matchup this week.
Yeah, I am too. So really appreciate it, guys.
All right, you have a good night, buddy.
All right, y'all too. See ya.
All right, bye-bye. That was Jordan DeLugo of genjag.com. And now we are going to keep things rolling. We're going to get things back on track to Packer Talk. So, Brian, you still with me, buddy?
I'm still here, dude.
Brian, what is the X factor this week? What do the Packers need to do to win this game? We just got a ton of information from Jordan here about what the Jags are bringing. Now, what do the Packers have to do, and who is the X factor in this game?
Well, he actually already mentioned one thing that I was going to bring up. My X factor is getting the crowd this game. I know that the Jaguars fans are not exactly known league-wide as, having the best attendance, being the loudest at the games, but there is a lot more optimism around this team right now. And as he mentioned, season ticket sales are going up. They're going to be loud for week 1, Packers in town, trying to stop Aaron Rodgers, a team that they think can make the playoffs. They're going to be ready to go. And if they can get their crowd into this game with a couple early 3-and-outs, we'll be in some trouble, and we'll probably have a hole that we'll have to dig our way out of. And I don't want to see that happen. So what we need to do, long sustained early drives, avoid the early 3-and-outs, and just get out there, get the running game going, score a couple early touchdowns, take the crowd factor out of it, and we have a chance to win this one. So I'm going to say I'm not overly confident that we can do that, but I am confident we can win this game, and I'm going to say it's going to be 27-24 Packers.
I really like what you touched on in the running game. I think the running game is going to be key. It's going to take some pressure off of Rodgers, and just he'll be able to spread the ball around. So I thought that was a phenomenal point, and that sounds like a good score to me as long as the green and gold is coming out on top.
I've been described as intellectual and phenomenal today. I like this.
Oh, that's all day. That's all day, bro. And Jordan, what's the key matchup? What's going to be the key matchup in this game?
I was thinking about a couple for this. One of them being, the tight ends of ours going up against the middle of their field. But the one I'm going to go with is the real key to victory, the one that if we can really win, really solidify a win for us, is Clay Matthews and all the other edge rushers against their offensive tackles. What Jordan was talking about was saying they need to get pressure on Aaron Rodgers, in order to keep this game close. I think if the Packers can do the same exact thing to Bortles, get him uncomfortable, what Bortles will do more than Rodgers is he's going to throw some interceptable passes. He threw a lot of touchdowns last year, but he threw 18 picks, which is a fair amount of picks. So he's going to throw probably 3, 4, 5 balls that can be intercepted. So if the Packers can get in his face, get him to throw some bad passes, get some turnovers, give the offense a short field, I think that's going to be enough for us to get some points on the board and really just keep them from getting into a rhythm. So if those guys can get some pressure on Bortles, force some mistakes, I see a win. If that doesn't happen, then it's kind of a crapshoot. Really, it's if those guys need to get to Bortles. They need to make life tough for him tomorrow or on Sunday.
Okay, and Dusty, you my numbers guy. You're my numbers guy. You're my boy, Blue. Tell me what kind of by the numbers, what should we be expecting in this game on Sunday?
I had a handful of things to bring up. I'm going to try not to go too long. Both Jordans, the duo Jordans, just the Jordans, I guess the Jordans, both brought up Bortles interceptions last year, and he had 18. And to our Jordan, I'm going to call him Peck. To Peck's point, he has thrown in interceptable balls per Key and Faye's pre-snap read quarterback book, which if you don't have, I think you can get a PDF for like $10. It's amazing. He charted, I think, 44 quarterbacks last year, every snap, every throw, a lot of good stuff in there. Per that book, he threw 30 balls that should have been intercepted. He tracks them kind of the way Football Outsiders does, where it's not if a guy dives and barely gets a hand on it, it's usually ones that hit him in the hands, say both hands. So they should be interceptable. That was second in the league only to Carson Palmer, who threw 31. So he threw 18, but he could have thrown 12 more. And generally, as these things tend to go, you'll see some regression to that. Now, he could get better. He could be better this year, and maybe he won't throw as many interceptable balls. I wouldn't be shocked to see that interception total go up a little. On top of the interceptable balls, again, per Fahey's work, he also was the least accurate quarterback in the league last year, when accounting for just basically not really counting in drops, but basically balls that should have been caught, that he threw on the numbers. He was 73.5%, which ranked him, I think, 31st out of 35. So he's ahead of only Nick Foles, Brian Hoyer, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Jameis Winston, and like just slightly behind Johnny Football, which you like, man, you never want to be. You never want to be. So that's bad. I mean, and Bortles could be good. We talked about it before the show. His fantasy scores, I had him in fantasy last year. Like, he'll put up numbers, but he doesn't. He's fairly inconsistent with his footwork and his mechanics. He kind of floats a lot of balls. Man, if he goes to the middle, he's going to throw 2 or 3 balls that can be picked in the middle, between what I hope to have Blake Martinez flashing off, some of his coverage skills and Clinton Dix sitting back there. You could see some balls get picked off in the middle. That's where he tends to make his mistakes. And then, just beyond that, I was kind of looking at, just a couple other random stats. If the Packers play like they did last year at home, they are, let's not talk about home. Let's talk about the road, because that's where they're going to be. They're like the 19th ranked offense on the road last year, while the Jaguars defense was 17th. And both of those are significantly worse than their overall total. So, Packers are getting Jordy back, but they've always been worse away from home. And Jordan brought up the heat down in Jacksonville. It's going to be tough, man. Not even just the heat, but just playing away from home is something the Packers have always struggled with. So, I'm going to go with, I'm still feeling it. I said all that. I'm still feeling it. I think Packers get a couple picks off Bortles. Defense shows up. I'm going to say 31-24. I'm going to say what's within a touchdown with the Packers. I can see the Packers winning that.
Okay. And because I know everyone out there is dying for it. I'm saying 27-23 Packers in this game, and I don't need to give all my stats about it because I just know that that's what it's going to be. So I talked to Vegas about it. But guys, I think that we touched on a lot of key points, and man, it is going to be awesome getting into some real NFL football this week for week 1. And Brian, why don't you start us off as to where we can find you on all of the social media platforms, please?
All right, so first, one final thought. I am really upset about this whole Josh Sitton thing, but end of the day, he's a left guard, and him signing with the Bears does not put them in the Super Bowl equation, and losing a left guard, as good as he is, does not take the Packers out of a Super Bowl situation, so it's not worth spending the next 6 weeks talking about. As far as Twitter, you can find me at @TTSO_Brian. Okay.
And Jordan, do you have any final thoughts?
I just a little piece of trivia that I'm going to throw out. I'm going to let you guys see if you remember this. This is this is a road game against an AFC South opponent in the Jaguars. Do you guys remember the last AFC South road game that the Packers have played? Think about this. I think you guys might be able to figure it out.
You got me.
Okay. The last time we played on the road in the AFC was the Houston Texans, which was the Rodgers relax game, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no.
Oh yeah.
RELAX. Man, the way he said that, it was so sexy. Oh my gosh. And Jordan, where are you? Where are you on Twitter? What?
You can find me on Twitter at JGPeck41.
Okay, that's a questionable username, but it's okay. Dusty, what are your final thoughts today, bud?
Man, I'm ready for football. we're a couple days away by the time you hear this. I guess a day away from the first game, a few days away from the first Packers game. I bought a second TV. I'm gonna put next to the one that I have. The Packers game on the big one. I'll have a secondary one on the small one. It's really is a dream come true. I feel like I've been working for this my whole life, so I am just extremely excited about this season. Sitting drama aside, this really could be a Super Bowl season with how the offense will hopefully look with Jordy back. The defense was great last year. I mean, lapses because, Capers probably fell asleep or whatever, but Football Outsiders had him as 9. And with a lot of those young guys they brought in and a lot of the young guys returning, they could get better. This legitimately could be a Super Bowl season. So, I'm excited for it to start. Very, very happy. Just remind me, I said all this when half the offensive line goes down in week 2.
And where are you at? Where are you at on Twitter, Dusty?
I am at Dusty Evely. And actually, before we go, I've also got we have the podcast account is at PTTF_podcast. And if you just follow us there, and we've got you can ask us questions and stuff. So before we go, we got 2 questions. We're gonna try to get through real quick here that came through that account. One is from Brian Aviles, our resident Bears fan, who really wanted to join and host the podcast, but he got shot down fairly hard. So his question is, how much does Sitton help the Bears having him and Long at guard? And I mean, my quick answer would just be he helps a lot because he is still very, very good. It doesn't really matter, right? Because he's still blocking for Cutler. Like, it doesn't matter how good he is, but Sitton's an upgrade for guard for pretty much every team in the league. So yeah, you guys got thoughts on that?
You pretty much said it. Their offensive line, not great. It just got a lot better, but they still don't have anybody to throw the ball behind them. So,
all right. Second one, last question from, I love this name, Armand Hammer. It's like a man's name, Armand Hammer. It's at Tuscan Count. It's a non-Packers question, so we'll just fly through them. What will the Eagles do with their current QB situation? Also, what will the Vikings do with their current QB situation? My answers would be the Eagles. It sounds like are starting Wentz, which is like just preposterous to me because he's a project basically. Like he's a project QB. He's got broken ribs going into week 1 that they say are healed, but man, broken ribs don't heal that quick. So that's gonna be bad. But like their second string is Chase Daniel, so like I don't know, Carson Wentz with broken ribs probably better than Chase Daniel. Vikings look like they're starting Sam Bradford, which, with Sean Hill sitting behind him, unless he can't pick up the playbook, Bradford's going to be in there till he gets injured in like week 6 or whatever. But, I think Bradford's a good fit. I don't like what they gave up for him, or as a Packers fan, I love what they gave up for him. But there's no reason to think Bradford's not going to start week 1. You guys got anything?
Well, week 6 is being generous on, when Bradford's going to get.
I know. I'm trying.
That's super generous.
Just trying to be nice.
Jordan, it sounded like you were going to say something, bud.
Well, just with I don't see so much of a difference between Sam Bradford and a guy like a Sean Hill. You got to figure at this point with this team, you still have that great running back in Adrian Peterson. And obviously they're going for more of the home run, trying to get more out of Bradford. Sean Hill's more of a game manager, but I mean, Bradford's a more talented quarterback, but statistically you look at them and they're really not that far off from each other. So the fact they gave up a 1st-round pick and a conditional 4th-round pick, it's a lot. So, and I think we were saying before the show, obviously this is a move. You don't make this move unless you think you're a contender, and the Vikings think they can still contend with Sam Bradford. So we'll see how that goes.
I was up north this weekend when all of this stuff was going down, and the first tidbit of information I heard was the Sam Bradford trade, and my jaw dropped straight to the floor. And I was like, they gave up what for him? And I mean, it was just I was just a basket of emotions this weekend, and it started with Sam Bradford. And then the whole Sitton stuff, and that was just that was just it was a pretty roller coaster of emotion weekend for me, and I'm still coming down from it. But if I have a final thought to give, it's just I'm just so blessed and grateful for this opportunity to talk with you guys every week, and I love you all. Even though Dusty, I haven't met you, but I feel like we've almost just have bonded into brothership.
I do feel like the love is there just immediately. Yes, I feel it as well.
Did we just become best friends?
We did. I believe we did.
I hope someday we can do karate in the garage together. But we are called Back to the Future podcast, and we stem from several other organizations that Brian, why don't you just fill us in on where we come from?
On where we come from. Well, our rookie John is the only one that's actually in Wisconsin. So any marketing related questions can go straight to him. You've got me here in Denver, Colorado. Jordan is gallivanting somewhere around Virginia, and we've got Dusty sitting there in Kentucky drinking bourbon like it's nothing.
Just flows right out of the tap here, fellas. It's lovely.
Well, make sure you guys go check out TitletownSoundoff.com and Tundra Talk as well. And we look forward to coming back next week and talking about a Packers victory. And until then, go Pack Go.
Go Pack
Go.
Go Pack Go.